good morning to one and all. Welcome to the Wednesday's episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. Welcome one and all. This is Wednesday, the 13th day of March 2024. And here we are for another episode of this program. Some people describe it as a wonderfully informative program. So here we are, ready to bring you the midweek, the Wednesday's edition of this program. And we have so much again to tell you this morning. But let me start off by inviting you to share the live. Let me put the scroll to tell you share the live. Share the live. Let people know that we are on. Also, before we go any further, just give me a thumbs up. Give us a thumbs up, and then we are going to proceed. The thing is right there. Just give me a thumbs up. Show some love, and we're going to continue with the program this morning. My colleague, Mr. Conway, is already in the studio waiting to bring you the valid, credible information. So welcome to this wonderful day, another day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. And let's give thanks and praise for being in the land of the living. As you would have noted, and we'll talk about it this morning, one of the sergeant in the force was not that fortunate. He was killed yesterday. We are going to talk about that a little more. But for now, give praise and thanks. Thank the Lord for allowing us to be here this morning to celebrate a new day, celebrate life, and to bring you, credible and valid information. And let me say this, as I share the live, give us a thumbs up. But let me say this, the program was scheduled early this morning, just around 2 o'clock. And my Lord, the students on YouTube poured into the schoolyard. And I must say, congratulations to you all. We have record number this morning. It's the largest number of students in the schoolyard ever, over 2 years. And it's the largest number in the schoolyard sitting and waiting for this program to commence. And we want to tell you, we're not going to disappoint you. We are not going to disappoint you. And of course, once we went live a few minutes ago, those on Facebook came in. And again, I want to encourage you to subscribe to the page on YouTube, like the page on Facebook. In that way, you will get the notification whenever the program starts or whenever any post is made. Yesterday I found some time to post 3 short clips on my. I posted one explaining the reasons, the extended squad has said recently that the police force has difficulty in attracting and retaining suitable personnel. And I did a short clip, which was an extract from Monday's program. And that thing has gone viral. It has gone viral. People are looking at it. Thousands and thousands of views as when last I checked early this morning. So yeah, continue to look at those clips. We will continue to bring you the information. And I will endeavor to make some more short clips once the time allows. So let us say again, it's important, despite the large number of students waiting in the classroom, and despite the fact that we normally run into some time constraints, I am going to do the roll call. And one of the reasons I explain why I do the roll call is to let you see that when we talk about large numbers waiting in the schoolyard, when we talk about large numbers viewing this program, it's not a bluff. This is not a bluff. The evidence is there. And we, as former senior police officers, believe in evidence-based arrangements, evidence-based. So yes, let's rejoice, let's give praise, let's give thanks for being in the land of the living this midweek Wednesday. And before any further ado, let me run the roll call, and then we're going to deal with these pressing issues that we have to deal with. And the first person in this morning, congratulations, Debbie. Debbie was Air Force this morning. She came at 2:09. And that is just about when the program was scheduled. A brave student, female student, decided to come into the schoolyard at 2:09 this morning, followed by Wayne. Wayne came next. Then Ronald. Then we had George from BV. 11899 came in. Earl Francis, the man from Melanie Damashana, came in at 3:40 this morning. Cranston came next. I know he went out and he came back and all of that. 4:35. The original Black Ma, very early in the class this morning. Patricia G from New Jersey is with us. Floyd came in at 4:39. Felicia came next. Felicia came next. Then we had from the UK, Wayne Little. Wayne from the UK, he came in at 5:03. Then Carlton, my squad mate, came in at 5:15. Another squad mate, BX, came in at 5:27. Then we had Fergus. L. Ben came in next. Winston from the UK. Then we have Jakey came in. Tessa from Orlando, Florida. Brian came in after that. Daniel is here. Anthony is here. Courtney. Sean from New York. Vibert also in New York. Then we had another person from the UK, Winston, and followed immediately by another student from the UK, Lynette. Then we have Ian, Kenneth, Magnell, Cecile, Carlisle came in, Maureen, Akko. I can't recall seeing this person before, so maybe the person is the first time the person is commenting, but the person may have been one of the students in the class. A new name appeared on the comments. Colin from Queens, followed by Ian from Queens. Then we have Melissa, Como. I know Como 8218 is from New Jersey. Aileen, Malvok, the man Fingers, I used to call him Fingers. Karen, John is here, Shatred in the class. Karen, Raul, Denise, Lyndon from New Jersey, Princess All from Lamar Springs, Ulrich from Crane. You see, we have a wide geographical spread. Then we have Malcolm is in class. Isabella is here. Patricia from Philadelphia is in class. Rastaman, Ballhead from Linden. Family Music from Brooklyn. Clifton Stewart, and Clifton is from Paris. Then we have John Cummins. John is here regularly. Brennan is from New York in class. Evelyn, Camille, Queenie from New York, formerly from West Coast Barbies in the house. Bonita, West Coast Barbies. Pauline is in class. Then we have, after Pauline, we have Samora came in next. Then Dexter. Then Anthony from Peters Hall, 11032. Then we have Emerson, and Emerson is from Canarsie, Brooklyn. Orin is here, 12758. Duan, Troy, my squad mate Carl from Arizona. Ovid is very much here. I can't recall seeing Ovid before. He says his number was 0937. I remember that number. Barbara. Then we have Vibert, Tilula. Pamela from West Side is here. Philip is in class. K. Tia Ben, 123. Then we have Vibert, the man from East Bank, is here. Terrence Young. Terrence is from Canada. Then we have Carville, another squad mate of mine is in class. Trotty is here. Maury is here for the Wednesday classes, you say. Another squad mate, Gaston, is in here, and he's telling us what they say about this killing. We're going to talk about it a little later. Melville, Clarence, Rohan, and then we have Sheila, another squad mate. I'm well supported. This program is well supported by members of Course 74. Then we have May, or Mia, whatever, M-U-I, Mia, I think. Then we have Ian, and he's from Georgia. Denise, the secretary, is here. Gary, Joseph, David, Sandra, Glendis. After Glendis, who came next? And you know, let me tell you, Glendis came in at what time? Glendis came in this morning at 10:22. Then you have Everett from Texas, Henrik McGarvey, and then we have Colin, Terrence B is here. And then after Terrence, we have Marlin, Bart, Daniel, Monica. Then after them, we have Grace, Wardy Osman is here. Clay is here. Those are ranks who work with me in Borbis. I remember them well. Then we have Gordon. Winston is here from Philadelphia. Marlon, Orville, Oren from the UK, Terence from California, Jean, Valietta, Doreen, my squad mate from Canada, Samuel is from Toronto. Then after that, Samuel was the last man. So you see the number of persons who were there. Samuel came in at 10:59, just a minute before we went live. And when we went live, we had Popo, Carlton, Raul. After Raul, then we had Karen, Joan, Jamal, and the list goes on and on and on. But let me bring in my colleague, Mr. Conway. Before I do that, let me extend some birthday greetings because you will want to join me too in extended greeting. Before us birthday greetings, we want to extend this morning a birthday to Assistant Commissioner Simon McBean. Saiwo is celebrating his birthday today. Assistant Commissioner Simon McBean also celebrating a birthday today. His Deputy Superintendent Clifton Davis. I want to take this opportunity to wish those ranks happy birthday. Hope that you have a wonderful day. I know with the recent incident yesterday in the force, I don't think you're going to be able to celebrate as you would have liked. So, but anyhow, enjoy your natal day. And I want to say a special belated birthday greetings to a person I consider a friend, Francis Kwamina Faria. He celebrated a birthday yesterday. FQF, I consider him a very good friend. The older folks, you know, Francis, playwright, actor, journalist par excellence, and the like. So Francis celebrated a birthday yesterday. I want to wish all you folks happy birthday, happy belated in the case of Francis. So let me bring in Mr. Conway. CC, good morning.
Morning. Happy to be in the land of the living. I wish to join with you in conveying birthday greetings to Francis, Simon, and Davis. I know I called Simon this morning, Simon McBean, and we have a very good relationship. I remember I recruited him, and he will always remember the interview for selection where I harassed him. I remember I had to interview 25 persons, and I check out, and he had more qualification than anybody else. So I left him for last. I allowed him to sweat out, and then I harassed him to see what quality he made of, and he did come through in flying colors. So happy birthday to all those guys here.
Yeah, happy birthday to them. And let me say this now in terms of the sad news. In terms of the sad news, before we talk about the death of the sergeant, we have to advise you. We had announced the death of Sergeant Oswald Innis. And the arrangement is, we did tell you, but just a reminder that he is going to be buried on Saturday the 16th, and that is in Queens. They said the viewing is from 10 to 11, service from 11 to 12, and that is the J. Foster Phillips Funeral Home, 17924 Linden Boulevard, Jamaica, Queens, New York. So to that. Well, let me now come to this tragic incident yesterday where Sergeant Vaughn was shot and killed. And according to the police, let me read what the police release is saying this morning, a very brief release. Say Ghana Police Force is reporting that a police constable is under close arrest for the killing of Sergeant Alex Vaughn. According to the police, and they're quoting them here, based on preliminary information, he allegedly and unintentionally fatally wounded Sergeant Alex Vaughn on Tuesday, March 12, 2024. And then it goes on to say that Mr. Clifton Akin, who is performing the functions of Commissioner of Police, has since ordered a probe into the incident, which is currently ongoing by the Office of Professional Responsibility and supervised by the chairman of the Police Complaints Authority. I got the but there's no chairman of the Police Complaints Authority. There is a complaints authority. The law 1702 does not provide for any chairman. This is a misnomer. He is the person who's there now, Mr. William Ramlal, the retired judge. He is the Police Complaints Authority. So the journalist who wrote this, make the correction. I like when you write, we got to get these things accurate. We try to be accurate and we try to let you know. Sure, you don't know. But for years, they were speaking about the chairman of the Police Complaints Authority, and it was discovered That is not chairman of the Police Complaints Authority. There is the Police Complaints Authority, who currently is retired Justice William Ramlal. So they're saying that this matter is to be investigated. But then they say, let me read something here to what the according to this is yesterday, according to the crime chief, Vaughn was one of the officers from a specialized joint services unit that was deployed in pursuit of prison escapee Wong. That is what it says. He was part of a specialized joint services unit. That is according to what was the crime chief was quoted. Now let me say this. This thing hurts a lot because I knew Vaughn when I was the commander at West Demerara. Vaughn was stationed at West Demerara at the time. Somebody sent me, I know 5908 Vaughn. I think I have a thing about number. 5908 was his regulation number. And they're saying that this man was unintentionally, and he was allegedly unintentionally and fatally wounded by some constable. We need to, I know it's early. I understand it's early. An investigation has to be done. But I am hopeful that a proper investigation is done into this whole matter. How can this constable accidentally, well, unintentionally kill the sergeant? And people have reminded me of the incident on January 1, 2023 in Myconi, where a constable shot and killed Corporal McPherson, I think his name, and a civilian man. And in that at that time, the report was that the corporal was attempting to arrest a man who was resisting. And this constable who was on duty with the corporal claimed that having seen this man resisting the corporal, he fired a few rounds in the direction. That is what he said. That is what was reported. He see his colleague and the next man scuffling, and he fired a few rounds in the direction. I don't know what transpired causing Sergeant Vaughn to be killed, but I want to say this because I've said it before. The ranks were going around with firearms, private security, civilian licensed firearm holder, police ranks, even members of the military, people walking around this place in Guyana with firearms, all kind, rifles, assault rifles, pistols, revolvers, shotguns. I am venturing to say that 99% of those persons are not properly trained to use the firearm. They don't know when to use it. They don't know the mechanics. They can't shoot accurately. And you take this from a person who was a senior firearm instructor in the Guyana Police Force for a number of years. The older police will know. I was a senior firearm instructor at the TSU. I am not only instructing people how to use firearm. I challenge, up to now, it has challenged, well, I don't interact with them now. But a few years ago, I used to tell them, I challenge anyone, and let me go in the range. Let's go in the range and test our skills. And they would tell you, as old as I am, God will tell you, oh, you're geriatric. They can't test me. So when I speak about firearms, I'm speaking from a position of knowledge and strength and authority. And I can't understand how a properly or adequately trained police rank can unintentionally shoot and kill the sergeant. First thing I would want to ask, what type of weapon he had? What type of firearm this constable was armed with? If it was a revolver, was it a revolver? Was it a pistol? Was it an assault rifle? Was it a carbine? All these things we need to know. What type of firearm he was armed with. I asked the same question about the incident in Myconi on the 1st of January 2020. And up to now, we have not been provided with an answer. Up to now, we have not been provided with an answer. So I am saying that we have people running around the place with firearms, private security, police ranks, civilians. They're just interested in getting this firearm as a status symbol, right? They don't know how to use the firearm. And when I say how to use, the mechanics of it, how to perhaps, if it's a pistol or other type of weapon, how to strip, how to clean, how to assemble the weapon, how the weapon functions, what we used to call the mechanics of the weapon, how it functions. They don't know that, how to shoot it accurately, when to shoot it, even more importantly, when to shoot it. And the rules are clear. We have discussed it repeatedly on the program, when you may shoot, when you are legally authorized to shoot. And I have never bought into this accidental, unintentional discharge. I have never bought into it, because most of those firearms require deliberate pressure on the trigger for it to go off. And even before that, you have to have, let's assume that it is a revolver. It carries a chamber. The rounds are in the chamber. You have to apply considerable pressure on the trigger for it to fire off. Even if the revolver is loading and it falls down, it's not going to go off like that unless something strikes the trigger. Then you have a trigger guard to protect that. If it's a pistol, which carries a magazine, the magazine with rounds is in the pistol, before it can be fired, you have to chamber a round. A round has to go in the chamber, and the trigger has to be squeezed. So you have all of these safeguards. If it's one of these assault rifles, same thing. And I should mention as well, if it's a pistol, most of these pistols carry a safety catch. So it's not only the round has to be in the breech, but the safety catch has to be deactivated. And then considerable pressure, 5-6 pounds of pressure, has to be applied on the trigger before this firearm goes off. Are you talking about unintentional and accidental? Unintentional and accidental? It is clearly, this is lack, without knowing, let me tell you this, without knowing the full circumstances of this incident, some amount of lack of training must be involved. I understand, based on I just read, the rank is under close arrest. Well, I don't know if he can be lawfully placed under close arrest. The law, 1701, spells out the offenses for which a rank can be placed under close arrest. But I'm saying this when we talk about the investigation and in this incident. If the rank, as I suspect, is not properly trained, you think is he alone is culpable? Do you think if the Guyana police force gives a firearm to a rank who is not adequately and properly trained, and he ends up killing someone, as happened in this case, whether the force is not to be blamed as well? And this is where legal culpability comes in, because I can tell you, in other jurisdictions, the organization will be held liable, not only the constable who actually discharged the round, but the organization that gave this firearm to this man who appears to have been untrained is also culpable. When I was a firearm instructor, I had to go into the witness box, I think on 1 or 2 or 3 occasions, I can't remember exactly when, to give evidence where ranks had discharged firearm, injuring, killing people. I had to go and give evidence to talk about the training, what training they had, and to show that they were properly trained to use this firearm. And therefore, that the fact that they fired it off can be no accident, cannot be any accident. And again, I want to emphasize before I bring in Mr. Conway, there's a clear lack of training. Clear lack of training. And again, not only in the police force, but people in general carrying firearms around in Guyana, they are not adequately trained, right? People just talk to somebody, pay some big money. As Mr. Conway know the locations, they pay some money, they get a firearm. Can't use it. Can't use it. Don't know when to use it. So when they are confronted with a situation, they are a danger to themselves and others. They cannot use it. And that is an extremely, extremely dangerous thing, which needs to be addressed and addressed urgently. So we have the Minister of Home Affairs, Robeson. The police comes under him. We have the man there who's an extended squatter. He was a drill instructor, and I think he was a little firearm instructor, perhaps not a very good one, but he was a firearm instructor as well. And he ought to know. He ought to know. And again, I challenging them. These ranks are trained. When last this man had a refresher training to fire a firearm. Those things are non-existent in the police force. And when you talk about it, people believe you're attacking the force unnecessarily. When a recruit passes through training school and he does that, what we call familiarization shooting, he just familiarizes himself with the firearm. Many times they don't shoot again, and they give him firearms to go on duty. Back in the day, we had annual shooting for members of the force. I used to conduct that annual. Officers and inspector officers in particular, right at the TSU miniature range, the other ranks, Timeri range, to shoot and to make sure that the ranks are trained and kept abreast. When I attended the FBI Academy some time ago, you get these agents have to come in to the academy on a regular basis to recertify, right? So let me understand that is not giving a person a firearm, and that's what happened in the force. If a person gets a private a firearm to carry, his personal firearm, property of the force, but he's allowed to carry it, no recertification. No recertification. So you have to end up with these problems. But let me bring in Mr. Conway before I say something more about this. Mr. Conway, your comments on this disturbing killing of the police.
Paul, first let me express my condolences to the family, friends, relatives of Sam Vaughan. I know him well, and just like you, I know him. I know him when I was Commander D Division, and also he worked with me when I was Commander F Division. He worked a lot in interior, Itering Bang and those border locations. I read the release coming out of the police. It's very sketchy, and there are more questions than answers. Very sketchy report. Here is it that a member of the force died under tragic circumstances, and you're hearing about unintentional and accidental. Weapons don't kill nobody. Guns don't kill nobody. It's people who kill people. And you mentioned, Paul, training is critical, and only training, retraining. Watch, about 2 weeks ago, I went to police headquarters to conduct some official business at the finance office. And there was a guy working at the TSU gate. And I asked him, I said, when last you shoot a gun? And he couldn't tell me. He in the force a couple of years, and since his initial training, he didn't shoot that gun. You rightly mentioned, Paul, that we used to do yearly training, and when you persons who perform well used to get money at the end of the year. That they got to get refresher training, and I don't know how they select those persons from the specialized joint services unit. Perhaps I don't. I hope it's not they heard that the man is at Carrow, and they just pick up some men and say, "Let me go on an operation," with the GDF. I don't know. Were they proper briefing? And when you look at it, and then they're saying that the man is under close arrest. Close arrest deals with on the offenses under the Police Discipline Act. This is a case of homicide, not under the Police Discipline Act. And if they want to know more about arrest, check Section 10 of the Police Discipline Act, Chapter 1701. And I don't know what briefing they had. And they're talking about accidental discharge and unintentional discharge. Now, the guiding principle for the use of firearms is Force Order number 33 of 69. That's which was we published numerous times in the Force Order 33 of 69. It said when you may fire. And let me read it again. 1. When you attack and you apprehend serious danger to your person and are unable to defend yourself by any other means. When property you are ordered to defend is attacked and you are unable to safeguard it by any other means. 3. When attack is made to rescue persons in lawful custody. 4. When anyone is found committing or about to commit felony burglary, shop breaking, house breaking, arson, larceny, and does not desist after warning and cannot be deterred or arrested by any other means. 6. To prevent a police station or police outpost from being overrun. That's 5, sorry. And 6, when so ordered by a superior rank. I don't do like the last one unless you're in a right unit situation. And this is the guiding principle. And in my days as a constable, you have to write down these when you may fire, the guiding principle in your pocketbook. And anytime you have lifted a weapon, you have to read when you may fire to the subordinate officer. And there's an entry made in the station there saying, Fosado number 33 of 69, when you may fire, read and explain to this rank. And he said he understands the nature of the document. And the person will sign that. So they're putting you on the guard. If you want to go and do nonsense, so be it. And this thing about you gotta be trained. You gotta be training. And many times when I see a man with a firearm, I ask, when last I shoot a firearm? And then hear a whole set of different story. It is sad that the sergeant, I don't think he had many more years to go, has died under those circumstances, those sketchy circumstances, and then you hear about unintentional and accidental. Total nonsense. I hope that they do a proper investigation and they be guided by when you may fire. That's the guiding principle. Anytime you shoot off a round, you got to go to when you may fire. And if any one of the 6 can't cover you, well, you're in serious trouble. And persons got to be constantly reminded. Anytime you uplift a firearm to go on duty, you must be reminded. Firearms are designed to kill. And if you don't enforce that in people, they do a whole set of nonsense and lives will be lost.
Right, and you're correct. Again, I say as a firearm instructor, you spoke about it when you may fire. And let me challenge the senior ranks or the hierarchy of the force, including, of the force, also the Minister of Home Affairs, also the National Security Advisor, Jerry Govaya, also the Prime Minister, Lion Mark Phillips, who was the former Chief of Staff. Go around the force, even Georgetown, go around the country randomly when you're driving around. Stop, you see a policeman with a firearm, ask him what are the rules of engagement when he can fire. Ask him. And before you do that, you might arm yourself with that force order that Mr. Conway spoke about and see how many of them know when they can fire. And these are people who are going around with firearms, when you may fire. I am willing to bet, I'm not a betting man, but I'm going to wager big that 99% of the persons you encounter and you ask them would not be able to recite to you, not necessarily verbatim, but to explain to you those rules that Mr. Conway just read out there. They don't know, and that is because they lack training. And let me say this. When I was there at operations, sitting in the seat of Deputy Commissioner Operations, I, based on my background and based on what I saw, decided one day to go to the TSU to interact with the instructors. These were people who were instructing people on the use of firearm. And I was appalled by the responses I got. And I had to order and put them into class to make sure that they knew. Because if you don't know, you can't teach. You don't necessarily have to know to shoot, because when I became a firearm instructor, I could tell you I couldn't demonstrate properly how to shoot. But I acquired that skill over the years. But I knew the rules to explain to them. And one of the first things you do when you start is to tell them the safety rules, the safety precautions. And one of the first, I always remember that. Treat every firearm as if it were loaded until you personally have proven otherwise. Let me repeat that. That is the first safety rule that I used to teach. You treat every firearm, all the guns then, as if it were loaded until you personally have proved otherwise. I have gone to renew firearm license. I have gone, Carlton, the NSP, the normal safety precaution. I have gone to latch firearms from time to time. And I have to tell them, look, you don't do that. People walk into the place with a shotgun, a pump action shotgun, and the working portion is not to the rear. Wrong. The working portion must always be to the rear. If it's one of those single barrel, double barrel shotgun, it must be broken so that you can see inside. If it's a revolver, the cylinder must be out so that you can see it. If it's a pistol, the magazine must be out and the working portion, the slide must be to the rear. Those are normal safety precautions where people are not taught. Normal safety precautions. They say treat every firearm as if it were loaded until you personally have proven otherwise. Just somebody come and tell you, oh, this gun unloaded. No. It doesn't work that way. It does not work that way, friends. I want to tell you about shooting too. I have gone to many places abroad with the Guyana and the West Indies rifle team. And you get to the stage where on the range, you even get what we call safety breach flags. And they're even stricter now in the UK. You go there for a competition, the bolt of the rifle, because we use bolt action rifles, has to be out of the rifle until you get into the fine position there, and then you're going to put that bolt in. So safety is very, very important. And the next thing that they need to know, is I'm sure they don't have records of people training, and that is also important. I'm not coming to the training school, you have to have individual records. When he trained, who trained him, what was he trained on? And that is one of the issues too. A man might go into the training school and he is trained with a pistol or a revolver, right? Maybe SLR rifle. But once he goes out into the station, they assume that he trained to use all firearms. So whatever firearm, they just give you a gun to go on duty. So then the man has never trained with that firearm. It is that serious. It is that serious. And we have put things in place to deal with that. Because it's an expensive proposition. People got to go and shoot. You can't give people gun and they're not shooting and practicing regularly. Well, in this oil-rich country, that shouldn't be an issue. That should not be an issue. And yes, somebody pointed out here to one of the main safety precautions too, apart from treating every firearm as if it were loaded until you personally have proven otherwise, that you always keep the muzzle or the mouth of the gun pointing in a safe direction. And I used to explain to them when I asked the question, what is a safe direction? And some people said to the front. I said, no, not always. Some people say up. No, not always. Some people said down. No, it's not always. Depending on where you are. Depending on where you are. Even the range towards the front is always a safe direction. Down the range is a safe direction. When we are doing training, you tell them if you are at the bottom of a building, let's say, to say you're pointing it up, not necessarily safe because people might be up there, and if it goes off, people can be injured. You're on a hard surface, you point it down, it might ricochet. So you have to take these things into consideration. We always told them we taught them to know your backstop. I'm teaching firearm for some of these policemen. Know your backstop. You know what is the backstop? Your backstop is where the bullet is likely to end up having missed the target or passed the target. The backstop. You got to know your backstop. So if a man running down the road and you get people in a crowd behind, that's your backstop. You can't just willy-nilly fire it. Forget about these things you see with Clint Eastwood and these people in the picture. Them things don't happen in real life. Them things don't happen in real life. People say, well, shoot the man and injure your foot. And no, them things don't happen. That's picture story. Picture story. So again, I'm very upset over this matter. And I say that we need a thorough investigation. Because remember, they say that these people were on this specialized unit looking for this escaped prisoner. So here we have a situation now where this prisoner escaped almost a month ago, when he escaped, sometime a long time ago. This man, Wong, a convicted rapist serving 15 years. It was said that sometime last month, he was out in the fields early in the morning to do agriculture with some prison officer. He asked to go into the bush to defecate. He went in there, and after 5 minutes, the prison officer did not see him emerging. He went to look for him and discovered that he had escaped. And we didn't hear anything more until last week, Friday, where we heard that this man is alleged to have chopped a mother and her son, killing them. The Saxacali, I think that occurred, killing them. And again, what happened then? Nothing. till yesterday now you hear that there was a manhunt for this man, and this constable is alleged to have shot and killed the sergeant accidentally. So one or a system, which allowed for one man to escape. Either the system allowed him to escape, or the neglect of one or more prison officers allowed him to escape, or we have now 3 people dead. 3 people are dead because of whatever mistake would have been made allowing this man to escape. And therefore, I will hope that when this investigation is done, all of that, you're going to investigate the death separately, but you have to have a more comprehensive investigation to determine how come this man escaped, what efforts were made to recapture him, and all of that. All of that. A lot of stuff going on under the Minister of Home Affairs, Robeson, and he's quiet like cat eat tongue. You don't hear about him any longer. You're not hearing about him. In the meanwhile, people are dying, and you're not hearing anything from the minister. When you hear anything from the extended squatter, there's a lot of bullcrap he speaks. Like when he telling people last week that the major challenge to the force is cybercrime and social media influencers. That is what that man is telling people. When you have policemen who are not properly trained killing the others, it's not an isolated incident, remember. Again, I remind you that on the 4th of January last year, the Corporal Mark Forster was shot and killed in Myconi by one of his colleagues. Shot and killed by one of his colleagues. And that is what we have. And there have been other incidents. Luckily, they weren't fatal. But other incidents where police shoot and injured civilians and the colleagues in the force. So this thing requires a thorough investigation, and I'm waiting to see what the corporate propaganda unit will see. Because I start off already by saying that the acting commissioner has ordered investigation by Office of Professional Responsibility. What Office of Professional Responsibility? This is a crime committed. This is a homicide. You should have your more senior detectives investigating this to find out what really transpired. And here you're talking about. So let's look to see the type of cover-up and the type of bullcrap they will release. But I'm going to be on it. I'm going to be following it up to see what transpires. And then we had again, as we're talking about shooting, we had the incident where the security guard at Vidanoop shot and killed by bandits. That's just a few days ago. Security guard, let me see if I can pull it up here. But before I do that, let me bring in Mr. Conway if he wants to say anything more on this incident which resulted in the escape of the prisoner and the death of Sergeant Vaughan. Mr. Conway?
It's shocking, you know. Here it is, according to the police report, the specialized unit of the Joint Services, a member of the specialized unit of the Joint Services unintentionally and accidentally shot and killed a police sergeant. Huh? Imagine that. A member of the specialized Joint Service unit accidentally and unintentionally shot and killed. And as you mentioned, you know, training and retraining, there should be the order of the day. And they must just pick up people from Bartico police station or wherever. Hey, we cite them on and carry information. Let me go. Without no proper briefing. Without no proper briefing, and nobody really in command and in control of the situation. And it might interest to know when last that constable and son is constable used a gun or when he had training. And then if you may recall, they had some 3-month-old police that Silal Prasad push out. Some of them only use the pistol and the revolver, the pistol, revolver, and the shotgun. So maybe he could have been one of the 3-month-old police that Silal Prasad pushed out when he was commissioner of police, and he had training for the weapon that he used. You know, so many unanswered questions. Paul, let's move on, though.
Yeah, but this investigation we'll be talking about should encompass all of that. How much service this rank had, what type of training he had with firearms, where he trained with the very firearm that he used causing the death. All of that should be part of the investigation. So don't come and give us any whitewash thing. Don't come to give us any whitewash thing. And as I said, we're talking about security guard. On the 12th, this is yesterday, it is reported, security guard shot dead in Vidanoop supermarket robbery. Again, another life lost. Again, another life lost. And this report says Paul Waterman of Two Shot, a security guard, was shot dead yesterday during an armed robbery at Vidanoop supermarket, according to the police. The police say that Waterman was working with the Sheriff Security Service when three men burst into the People's Supermarket located at Lot F. New Road, Vidanoop, West Coast, Demerara. Two of the bandits were armed with handguns and they held the guard and the proprietor at gunpoint. They robbed the trio, and during the act, a scuffle occurred between the guard and one of the gunmen, and a shot was fired. A shot was fired. Who fired this shot? Waterman fell to the ground and was relieved of his phone. The suspect proceeded to rob the supermarket and then made their escape by running north along Evergreen Street towards Best Village. Waterman was later pronounced dead. The police said that the supermarket was open for business at the time, and Waterman was armed with a .32 Taurus pistol with 10 matching rounds. The proprietor and his wife were robbed of an undisclosed sum of cash, a quantity of Digicel and GTT phone cards, and one cell phone, one DVR, the police said. The scene was visited and blah, 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 blah. Again, these security guards, let me say this. The people that you call them security guards, they're not really security guards. Again, training. They are not properly trained. There are many, many people who they refer to as security guards who are walking around with firearms. They are not legally authorized to do so. And I have the figures for some of the divisions. So I could challenge them. Let them challenge me. The people are not trained. In order for you as a security guard to be legally allowed to carry a firearm while on duty, you have to be trained. You have to be sworn as a supernumerary constable, and you have to have a precept. And back in the day, when I put certain systems in place in a division, every security guard on duty, let's listen to this carefully, officers, other ranks, these things have broken down. But every security guard on duty must have his precept one to confirm that he is indeed authorized to carry the firearm, and he must have a copy of the license for the firearm that he's carrying. Let me understand this. He must have a copy of the license. And here, ask Watts, the man in charge of special branch, the man there at Assistant Commissioner Watts, asks he, because he was one person who I had assigned on that duty around Georgetown and Hill to make sure that a man doesn't just stand up there with a gun and he doesn't have a precept or he doesn't have a copy of the license which authorizes him to carry that firearm. All of these things break down because of political interference. So you have people now walking around the place calling themselves security, no fire, and no training. No training. Many of those forces are not properly trained, if any training at all. We have had situations in the recent times, if you recall, where a security guard, some 18-year-old security guard at Border Market, playing with a gun and accidentally shot a bystander. And we understand when the people check the company concerned and they discover this man was not precepted, he was not authorized to carry the firearm, and when they had sent, get a copy of that. Have a copy of the letter, backdated letter, try to, because the company had then, the license expired. And money passed. It was alleged that $500,000 were given to an intermediary to give to the police. And the intermediary handed over $200,000. So all them things that they get with the backdated license and so on, I get them in the record because they like to tell you that I go sue. And I say again, if they sue, who more they going to sue? Backdated. Corruption. That's what this program is all about. Corruption. Backdated. $500,000 left the security company. $200,000 delivered, and the man collect. The intermediary dash the cut in them. That is what transpired with this place. You had one on the East Bank somewhere. where a man playing Russian roulette, a security guard playing Russian roulette with a firearm and shoot some construction worker or something. These people are not trained. We are the one at Eccles. We had showed you that video some time ago where the man did on the fine wrong, he busting shot, licking corn in the air, bam, 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 bam. What has happened to that matter? What has happened to that matter? Nothing as far as we are aware. Then we had one which somebody told me the other day. If you recall some time ago, you had the incident at Providence Police Station where some men had assaulted this person. And while the man was there today, he saw them. He saw the persons who assaulted him in the gas station opposite. Told the police, these are the men. Those are the men who assaulted me. And the police said, we got to send for the patrol. These people are right across the road from the station, though. They said they got to send to the patrol. When the men eventually came into the station, the man recounted, that video is somewhere again. The man recounted that he saw one of them appear to be armed. He saw the bulge. And he suspected that this man was going for this firearm. So he beat him to the punch. He hold on the firearm. And badam, the gun go off in the police station, Providence. And all the police in the station bail out. The police in the station ran out and left the man with the firearm. Man said if he wanted to kill people, he would have killed people. He didn't want that. He was just protecting himself because he believed the man who had the firearm might have used it indiscriminately. And I understand from reliable sources that same set of people who were involved in that incident has made several donations to the Guyana police force. That same set of people. They have made donations to Providence or somewhere there to the police force. And that's what we're saying. These security guards are not properly trained. You have a mushrooming security arrangement. Everybody wants security company. And most of these Chinese and other supermarkets, they pay for an armed guard because the rates for ordinary guard and armed guard are different. They pay more money for an armed security. So some of these companies are so unprofessional, right? So what they do, you want an armed guard, we can send a man there with a gun. Whether the man is trained or not, we're going to send him there with a firearm. And you know, the question was asked yesterday, this escaped prisoner, they said this specialized unit. Some years ago, we heard that there was a SWAT unit in the Guyana police force. The last I heard about them is when the SWAT unit went to Essequibo Coast, at Dartmouth, and killed or in Boston. I ain't hear about them any longer. But people have said, and I have confirmed, that those people who are supposed to be the SWAT members and really should be involved in an operation like the one to recapture the escaped prisoner, you know what they're doing now? That is what is being said. The guardian minister's house and government officials, they are performing fixed point duty at the residence of ministers and other government personnel. That is what is going on. Somebody here, a constable shoot and kill. That's what we want. Let me say this before bringing Mr. Conway on this security guard issue. You go into any supermarket, you see around there, a security guard. And I just said they're not security, they're glorified watchmen. Call them security, get on some uniform, unless you're properly trained, glorified watchmen. And the first thing that you will see in many cases, they're on their phone. They're not attentive. They are on their phones. We had a picture with one who rests the muzzle of the shotgun on his instep and then play with the trigger. And badam, the gun go off, shoot his foot, and he jumping around, up and around like a kangaroo in the place. Lack of training. But coming back, you go in the supermarket, and I can't help this. This is my training. It's part of my DNA. So they go into these places, they look at the security, they don't even take up any tactical position. None at all. They stand up there, somebody can walk straight up to them, pull some knife, take away the gun, and all of that. That is lack of training. Lack of training. And then you have some cases I referred, I don't know if it's still the same now. I had spoken about the GRA office in Camp Street. I had spoken to about NIS in Brickdam. In the case of GRA office in Camp Street, you have a security there from the special constabulary. The man got a shotgun. He's armed with most likely a 12 gauge shotgun. So you know what happen there? If chances are, if it comes that he has to use a shotgun, I remember shotgun in most cases, I don't think he's gonna be carrying slugs. He's gonna be carrying pellets. And I could tell you that if it's a number 4 cartridge, has like about 200 pellets, buckshot inside. So if that goes off in a crowded place, you know what's going to happen. Many people are going to be injured. So no assessment is made as to the suitability of a weapon in that type of place. And then the NIS, I have seen people at NIS. I know at NIS, apart from the staff, most people who go there are over 60. Go for the little pension, go for the whatever they got to get. And they are there armed with submachine guns. I don't know if it still obtains, but I can tell you. At one stage, I used to see them with a Beretta 9mm submachine gun. So you can understand, and this is not, I'm not blaming the ranks. This is the type of archaic and backward thinking from the people who lead these organizations. People who lead. Backward thinking. How do you put a person to work at GRA with a pump, not necessarily with a shotgun? How do you put him there to work with a shotgun? How do you put a man to work at NIS with a submachine gun? Now, next thing they're gonna put them with a semi-automatic machine gun. What they're making? You know, the corporate communication has reported that they found somebody with a semi-automatic machine gun. I have to make the point: there's no such thing. There is no such thing. So maybe they can manufacture one of that and put people to work. But it is a serious concern. You walk around or you drive around the city and out the outskirts, people all over, security with guns, shotgun, and all of that. On the East Coast, some time ago in the LBI area, one actually fired off a shotgun and injured some innocent bystanders. That is what you have. And, you know, people are not taking these things into consideration. These things are not serious. According to the extended quarter, what is serious is cybercrime and social media influencers. That is his focus. Policemen are dying. Policemen are being beaten on the road. Morale in the organization is at an all-time low. And this joker, got to call him by his real name, this joker tells a conference where the president was present. Well, the president never know better, let me say so. But the world would have ordered that given all that is going on in Guyana, on the roads, lawlessness, and you get robberies, you get murders, fatal accidents and incidents, as they would recall it. And the man is telling people that the focus is on cybercrime and social media influences. Let me understand what really is going on here, people. So it's unfortunate, and again, I want to join with Mr. Conway to express condolences to the relatives of Sergeant Vaughn and this guard, Paul Waterman of Tushan, who was killed a few days ago in this robbery at Vidano. Very, very sad. It is very, very sad. And again, I say that one of the main thing here has to do with training. There are too many firearms in Guyana in the hands of people who have not been properly trained to use them. I challenge anyone. And you know, I had quoted the statistics some time ago to tell you that in terms of per capita, Guyana has most firearms all around. Per capita more than Jamaica, more than Trinidad and all of those places. I can pull it up to remind them about it. Per capita, Guyana has more firearms than many countries in the world. I was shocked when I did the research and discovered the data, but then I should not have been. So let me bring in Mr. Conway, and then we're going to move on. Mr. Conway, your comments on this, again, story where this man was killed.
You know, the Private Security Act is operating in the breach, you know. They're not following the Private Security Act. And for someone to be issued with a firearm, he has to be a supernumerary constable. He got to be sworn, and he got to get his precepted. Waterman wasn't sworn. My information, Waterman wasn't sworn. Waterman ain't got to no firearm training. But many of these security services, they have contracts for armed guards. And most time when they don't have armed guard, they just pick up a man and send him, give you a gun and send him. And that was the case from information I got my investigation. That was the case with Waterman. They sent him there, and they sent him with a weapon which I understand wasn't even working. I'm talking about here they get some bogus Chinese made carbines and knocking about the place. Many of the persons that carrying firearms, and we had instances before, are not trained. And remember the extended squatter said that he could ensure that the training for private security would be of 3 weeks duration. That has not been implemented. People are working with weapons that are designed to kill. And if they're not properly handled, people is going to die. And it's high time they start pulling in them security service, whether they're the new sheriff in town or not, pull them in, suspend the license for a time until they come to order. The act give you the permission there that you suspend them and you ask them to give notice in writing why their license should not be revoked or suspended for a longer period. And then again too, when you watch, you don't know who is bandits and who is security. They got to wear the uniform, and the uniform is specified. The uniform with a badge on it. But the whole thing when you watch, you want to hear is somebody gonna rob this Chinese place there? Not knowing is a security person. And I'm making the point that a lot of persons are uplifting firearms or are given firearms and they had no training to use the firearms and no tactical training that if bandits attack them, what they must do. What they must do. We didn't hear Waterman fire off any wrong because it sounded like the weapon wasn't working too. Well, so many things going on with private security. And then again too, they accepting donation from private security. They accepted donation from private security so that the private security will expect and will get preferential treatment. It's time, and I'm repeating, it's time that they have a critical look on the operation of private security forces. They're mushrooming. We used to say they're coming up like zombie umbrella overnight. And who is the trainer? Who training them? I remember a couple of years ago, where's the force, the TSU asked me to give the feature address for a closing ceremony. They had a skeleton course. I think they had about 15 courses on it. And I started to talk and then I branch off. I push my hand in my pocket, take out my wallet, and I throw it on the table. And I had some good money there. I wasn't impecunious then. And I said, anybody who could tell me, give me the sixth thing when you may fire, take all that money inside there. And I include instructors, not even instructors and all, could have explained when you may fire, and which is critical, which is important, which must be embedded in persons. They must understand and appreciate those guiding principles. And getting back to the private security, I'm saying it's time that a proper evaluation be done in terms of the operation of the private security for more so the training and the issuing of firearms. Because if that is not done, we get plenty more watermen will go along the way.
Yeah, you're right. They're not following the Private Security Act. And I recall an incident. You got to relate these things to people so they could understand how the system should work. I was a commander of a division. There was a matter at Sophia where a security guard, the shotgun was stolen from a security guard. The security guard was attached to a particular company. And when we started the investigation, we discovered that the security guard wasn't precepted, he wasn't authorized to carry the firearm. So I ordered an audit to be done on the firearms belonging to that company and discovered that there were two revolvers that they couldn't account for. Two. And in one case, they said one of the firearm was at Gimpex in Regent Street, and the older people will know the Association of Gimpex, and the man left the firearm careless, and they claim that somebody accidentally dumped it in the garbage. There was a second one where they said the security went for lunch break somewhere across the river. He put it on some sofa, and then when he was ready, I ordered an audit that was revealed, and every single firearm and ammunition from that company were taken away. And they were asked to show cause why the firearm license to that company should not be revoked. Every single firearm. Because I wasn't satisfied that they were storing the firearm properly. I didn't satisfy that the people were properly trained. And there was a breach because they were giving people who were not legally authorized to carry firearm. I ordered everything seized. And I could tell you this. Let it challenge me again. They call me from all over, people calling me. They call me all over. Call me, tell me about this thing. I think Green was commander. And I said, the firearm will not, or the firearms will not be returned until I am satisfied that they have proper system in place to account for these firearms, to make sure that the securities are trained and they don't give the firearm to any and anybody. All from Rob Street, a certain man had called me, and I had to tell him where to get off. Because you got to stand up and make sure what is right is right. I had to tell him where to get off. Senior man. And I said, tapper. Senior man, call me. Oh, well, of course, he called me and he begged. Let me make this point. He didn't call and try to assert any type of authority. He called and begged. He was very nice to me, very cordial, calling my first name and so on. And then was making out the case for this firearm to return. And let me give you all another clue. The same company some years ago was involved in this one laptop for family. They had a bond somewhere in Queenstown that they were guarding, and all the laptops had disappeared. Do y'all research. Y'all come, let me give y'all a thing, man. Tickle me, let me wine. Tickle me, let me wine. Same company. But those days, commanders had the authority to do their job. They had the authority. I had no commissioner. Let me say this. I became a commander with Larry Lewis as commissioner. Then McDonald, Henry Green, Felix, all of those forces were commissioners while I was there. When I retired, Green was the commander. None of them would call you to give you any contrary instruction. I seized the firearm from a magistrate who had discharged it. Again, I tell you, I want to attacking facts, He went home, he had a problem. He lived in, I can't call the exact building, but he lived in a place on Harvey Barker Street. And he went home there, he had some problem with his neighbors. It was a kind of building where you have close neighbors. And he brandished the weapon and threatened the man, a magistrate. And I seized this firearm and asked him to show cause why it should not be revoked. He ran all over the place. He ran to the commissioner and he ran all over those places. Felix called me and said, well, no, I instructed you. But I just want to let you know that he came to me to beg. I said, well, I'm glad you tell me. Send him to me. And he was sent to me. And as I said, I had to buck you up. Because he was telling me some crap. I said, you're a sitting magistrate and you bringing that nonsense to me to justify your illegal action? I said, taking away the firearm. He jump around. The same magistrate, let me tell you, young policeman, the same magistrate was had some accident, minor accident. And when the police did the investigation, they discovered that the fitness or something had expired. And the man telling me, because he and the other party settled on the accident, he telling me they settled the matter. So you settle the matter? You can't settle a matter involving unlicensed, uncertified motor vehicle. You can't settle that with no other party. The only place that for that to be settled is court. All them, the glad when I left the work in 2010. Because every morning I woke up, I used to tell them I saw two wrong things. They call them balls. You got to know your work and stand up for your work. But if you look at now, you got a lot of Enochs. They ain't get balls. They can't stand up and represent themselves because they don't have the knowledge. They don't have the knowledge. So let me understand what is going on. And let me walk you right on to this thing. We're talking about police here. I was about to say last week, but Monday, We spoke about the demoralized police force and why so many persons are leaving. And I highlighted some reasons, and my students had to remind me of some other reasons as well. Some other reasons. They said one of the things too, you get the extended squatter who is there demoralizing the force. And not only the force, they would not tell you, but all the senior ones who are close to him, only waiting to see his back turn. Because they can't, as the saying goes, they can't take him. Some of them believe that he's too, but put it in Guyanese roadman talk, he's too dunce to lead them. And therefore they act up. That is demoralizing as well. And then they also tell me, they're compelling them, bullying them for clean drain and sweep road. Police constables, in this time when you have all this crime around the place, all the road accidents, they are compelled to clean the road and sweep drain. Because you get CARICOM conference coming up or somebody coming and visit, police ranks are sweeping road and cleaning drains. I remember sometime, might have been last year, there was the birthday of a rank. And I called the rank to wish the rank happy birthday. I said, hope you enjoying your day. The rank said, sir, enjoying day. Let me send you a picture. Let you see where you there. The rank sent me a picture. The rank was on the road cleaning on the rank's birthday. I said, what you doing? I said, well, I ain't got no choice. They compel you if you ain't going to get trouble. So I decided to celebrate the birthday a little later. But the morning, the rank is on the road with broom and picking up things by the seawall and sweeping road and cleaning drain. So what you're telling people about you're unable to attract and retain? How are you going to attract and retain in those circumstances? And the people, they told me too about the tyrannical conduct of officers, especially some senior ones towards junior ranks. The tyrannical conduct. And when at last I checked, that is an offense against discipline in the police force. Acting in a tyrannical manner towards an inferior in rank. They say the people are acting tyrannically. They cuss you, they run up to you. Senior people want to challenge a fight and all this everything. That is what is going on. That is what is going on. I see, and look, you got to talk about these things, man. I don't care. I'm telling you the truth. The evidence is there. And you ask Maureen, when you get ranks, especially a rank board day, oh man, let me say I should have a clean up, which should not happen in the first place. But it's a rank board day. You're going to say, well, your excuse today, man, your body, enjoy your body. No, the rank up for their cleaning seawall, picking up shit in paper and pampers and all sort of thing. And you want to tell me people are not demoralized? Ranks, look, the next one. A rank is sick. Rank is sick, rank is sick leave. Right? And they are insisting that the rank must spend the sick leave in the barracks. And this barracks, where they tell them to spend sick leave in, doesn't have facilities to accommodate the people. No proper bathing facilities, no proper thing. A person sick. And especially pre-COVID. You want to tell me pre-COVID, you are so backward to tell a rank who is sick that they must stay in the back room? What if the rank is suffering from COVID or some other contagious disease? You want them to spend in the back room? I know. Don't tell me about the standing order. I know it more than any one of you. Yeah, there's an old archaic thing in the standing order, say for rank and sick leave. Under certain circumstances, the rank has to get permission to spend it at home. But pre-COVID, it should be automatic that once a rank is sick, the rank should be isolated, should go and spend your sick leave at home. And that is the type of backward thing that you have. Spitefulness, vindictiveness, tyrannical behavior towards the ranks. And I told you all again, I'm going to repeat every day that we have this program. The ranks intervene to prevent a senior police officer from laundering $16.5 million through the police credit union. Ranks said, no, this can't happen. The money was returned. Tyrannical behavior. The ranks are, well, I said, I'm right, Patrick. I mean, post-COVID. I said pre, no? So I tell you about my students, post-COVID, that is what I mean, or after COVID, right? Thanks very much to the correction. Thanks very much to the correction. I mean, post-COVID, you want to tell me even pre-COVID ranks should not have been made to stay in the back room. But post-COVID, yes, you want to tell me that ranks decided that they are not going to be a part of this illegal scheme to launder money through the police credit union. 60.5 million Guyana dollars. The ranks are being victimized. The ranks have been removed from the location. And as I've said before, let me check the law. You know what I expected? The Financial Intelligence Unit and all those people to pick up on it. What is Guyana? Nobody are gonna pick up on anything. Because I was advised that the credit union is a financial institution under the laws of Guyana. And even though it's a police credit union, even though some or all of the ranks working there might be policemen and women, they have to have a separate management arrangement, a board of management, and those senior officers should be able to say transfer. But that is what happens. That is what has happened. Somebody want to know, I've read the man, they get back his gun. I think so. I think the man had gotten back his gun. And in terms of the security company, they never got back the firearm while I was in the force. I understand that when I left in 2010, they approached Green and the people get back the firearm. And I said again, let them challenge me. I'm going to call all the names and so on. I'll call the name of the security company, the principals in the security company who were fronting for whom, and the people from Freedom House who called me begging to intervention. So when I come with facts. I come with facts. So yes, that is some of the reasons people say why people are leaving in numbers. And now you got this thing with people getting killed. Sergeant Van, I don't know if Van is married. I don't know if he has children. But man got to work the morning and choose some, got to be carelessness based on what they say. This man is dead. And you want to tell me these things are not going to demoralize ranks in the force? You want to tell me it's not going to demoralize ranks in the force? And then they want to say, again, this extended quarter about cybercrime and social media influencers. So maybe, Mr. Conway, they're referring to me, to us as social media influencers. And maybe very soon, they're going to look for give me cybercrime charge. So I don't know. CC, what is your say?
I wouldn't be surprised, if they if they give us cybercrime charges. But just to add some more to why the ranks don't want to join the force or are leaving. We had in this Irish country. I remember you had a photograph of a member of the TSU, a member of the strike force of this police force, sleeping on newspaper, and even at the very top, those men who are masquerading as deputy commissioners, they're grumbling because at least they could make them give them officially acting deputy commissioner, so they could get some more money, And all the president has got to do is consult with the leader of the opposition and chairman of the police service commission and make them deputy commissioner if you feel they are fit and proper. But partly if he is of the opinion that they're not fit and proper, therefore they got to remain in the rank of assistant commissioner. And this is another one. This is a current one in Barbies, where there's issue with a sergeant from the college in Barbies. I think he and the man in charge of admin had some kind of issue. They put him on a close arrest. Now they put him on the arrest like an ordinary prisoner. And I think last night he was placed in a room with four other persons, two beds. So a policeman and three other persons in a small room with two beds. You know, and I don't know what's happening, and they don't know the difference between close arrest and open arrest, and when a person is confined as an ordinary prisoner in the lockups. But there is a burning issue right now in Barbies where a sergeant is under arrest as an ordinary criminal in relation to a disciplinary matter and has to be in a room with three other persons with two beds. So all of this demoralizing the police force. all of that. And I can go on with more receipts, but let me stop there.
Yeah, well, here you have it. As you said, a man, a rank is arrested for some disciplinary matter and placed in the ordinary place there. And a man who kills the sergeant is put under close arrest. What do you expect? That is the backwardness in the Guyana Police Force. And it has to do with the quality of leadership. I maintain that. It has to do with the quality of leadership. But see, time flies so fast. Let me move on and tell you this. When I gave notice to this program yesterday, I said one of the things we're going to talk about is the frequent drive-by shootings. Drive-by. We would have seen yesterday, the news broke, I think it was Monday night, there was a drive-by shooting. According to the report, some man, people roll up and cut loose with AK-47s at this man and his companions who were there. Luckily, nobody was struck or killed. But you know, in the past, just over the past month, we have had what? I can recall about 3. We had the one where it was reported on February 5th this year, that Dreddy, you know, Dreddy, the man, what is his correct name? Joseph Wilkinson called Dreddy, was shot and killed in South Rhineville. He was at work and he came out. We showed that video, the clip here, some time ago. Somebody pumped shots in Dreddy. Dreddy was rushed to the hospital and either pronounced dead or died shortly after. So there's one drive-by. Then we had a report on the 16th of February. This one that I read about Dreddy, that was reported on the 5th. So that might have occurred sometime around the 4th, sometime around the 5th of February. Then, less than 2 weeks after, we had the report that shot Tocqueville electrician remains in critical condition. Police says that. 36-year-old Winston Hazel, the electrician who was shot 12 times on Tuesday night in Tocqueville, Georgetown, remains hospitalized in critical condition. Police commander had said that he remains hospitalized in a critical condition. Police say they are investigating the shooting, which occurred about 7:07 p.m. on Tuesday at Tocqueville, Georgetown. According to the police, the attack was carried out by 2 unidentified men on a black XR motorcycle wearing hoodies and armed with 2 handguns. Investigation so far have revealed that the victim was returning from Durban Street Lodge in a car, PRR, As he turned into the driveway, the 2 suspects approached on the motorcycle and stopped a short distance away. They then dismounted, pulled out 2 handguns, and discharged several rounds at the victim. He sustained several gunshot wounds. He sustained 12 gunshot wounds, 3 to his left side, and they described where he received the wounds. And then we said, only 94 the last, they are reporting, that is what they are reporting. Let me get the thing here, good. They are reporting that there was another drive-by. So that seems to be the thing now. And I want to find out from the police if they are seeking to see if there is a link between these recent drive-by shootings. Because the man who was shot at yesterday is known as Corlup Osafo Siresti Grandel, called Safo or Corlup. Well, the police must know about Corlup. Corlup, some time ago, was charged, I remember, with a murder in Georgetown. And then, check again, there's a report, Norton Street murder PI witness who says she knows murder accused for 20 years failed to identify him in court. This was Corlup was charged. And then when this lady, after telling the court that she has known murder accused Osafo Grandel called Safo or Corlup for 2 decades, a witness to the murder of Marlon Sion Rodney called George, yesterday failed to identify the man in court. Police prosecutor Dominic Best, who's representing the state in this matter, asked the woman to identify Grandel in court. At that time, the accused was sitting in the prisoner's dock, 6 feet away from the witness dock. They said the principal magistrate who was present also failed to get the witness to identify the defendant. Also, and then that was in 2019. 2019, and then in 2021, former murder accused turns self in hours after wanted bulletin was issued. And Kaicho News is saying that former murder accused, the same Osafo Seresi Grondel 42, Carl Safor Cornell or Corlop, Fremont Street, East Penton, Georgetown, yesterday turned himself in at the Breakdown Police Station hours after a wanted bulletin was issued for him. Police say he was wanted by the police in relation to the killing of 27-year-old Dale Christopher called Son Skull. Son Skull was from Tiger Bay, Rosemary Lane. And they had, if you recall, well, I don't know if you can recall, they had this thing occurred March morning, 2021. March morning. They had some big fete somewhere in Lodge. According to the DG and them, they had about 500 armed forces attending. And then shots rang out. At the end of the day, Son Skull was killed. And call up name was called in that. And police issued a wanted bulletin for him. And then it's the same matter, you know, you got to do the research and find these things, you know. It is reported that the main witness disappeared and a car was set afire at the coconut farm in Maikoni there. Let the tea coconut farm. And it was said that the main witness in one of these cases, I think in that case, was killed and burnt beyond recognition in that car. Police had said then they got to get DNA to identify, do DNA test to identify the body. So I say, wonder if they are investigating any connection between Dreddy murder, this drive-by shooting where this man get 12 shots and survive. Luckily, your brother, your time ain't come yet. Time ain't come yet. Right? And then now this attempt with AK-47, that's what the police said, you know. Police said, let me see if I can pull up the report there. In the meanwhile, I'm going to bring Mr. Conway in for him to make his comments on that. I'm going to see if I can find the police report. See, these drive-by shootings, brother. What can we learn from that?
Well, I don't know whether the police learning anything. As you already mentioned, there should be connections. And then again, you know, what about the ballistics? What about the forensics? They're recovering spent shells and non-spent shell and then when matching no gun elsewhere. And if nothing I mean, it's frightening. They mean that several weapons are being used at different locations. Nothing in matching. What am we with the ballistic export? Just like how they said they find gray by in the Courtney Corming matter with an unlicensed firearm and they trace it to the spent shell and they find at the scene of the murder. They ain't finding nothing. Something is wrong with our ballistics. Something is wrong with our forensic. And then again, I got to repeat it often. We have a superintendent spent 5 years in Russia doing forensic science, did exceedingly well. And where should they lock up in the office as a force training officer with no training background, with no real experience in policing? Something that will left on the scene. Find something on the scene. Do meticulous work. You find them spent shell, you're not tracing them to no scene. You're not tracing them to any weapon. Something is wrong. We don't have ballistic experts. We don't have forensic experts. I heard the other day Nandola said that they're getting 3 Indian forensic experts to come in, and then I heard they send a set of police to India. I think they presently on a very short training program, not to do forensic science, but do a forensic interview. Forensic interview, and Nanlal is spearheading it, not the Minister of Home Affairs. I'm saying if they do proper work of these drive-by shootings, if they have proper data in terms of ballistics, and if they do proper forensic work, they will be able to solve some of those drive-by shootings. And as you mentioned, there are connections. There are connections. You don't have to go to university to see that.
Yeah, well, you don't have to go there to see that. So, yeah, must be some type of connection. Well, let me read what the reporter said yesterday about this latest drive-by shooting. It says a gang armed with AK-47 assault rifles opened fire on Osafo Grandel called Corlup and 3 of his friends while on Mandela Avenue on Princess Street Monday evening. That is 2 days ago. Police were told that a silver gray motor car drove up from a northern direction on Mandela Avenue, turned west into Princess Street, and stopped about 5 feet away from where Grandel and his friends were. The gunmen then exited the car and opened fire on Grandel and his crew. Then the court today, they all managed to run away from the bullets, a source told the news reporter. The gunmen then escaped north along Mandela Avenue. Grandel's vehicle was riddled with bullets. He is yet to make contact with the police on the shooting. That is up to yesterday, well, up to the night when they were reporting it. Investigators found 27 shells, including 10 7.62 by 39 spent shells. So they're saying when the investigators went to the scene, they found 27 shells. You're referring to shells from firearm, from bullets then. And they say, including in the 27, were 10 7.62 by 39 spent shells. And I can tell you that that is the type of ammunition that is used in the AK-47. Not only the AK-47, but it is used in the AK-47. But you have these worrying thing because it occurred to me that when given the time that this thing is set to have occurred, sometime Monday night, people are likely to be on the road. And when men turn up and open up with an AK-47, it is a miracle that the 4 men who were there, Grandel and his 3 colleagues, and innocent bystanders, weren't struck. Because when you talk about AK-47, I ain't going to all the ballistics here now, but the bullet travels. The bullet travels. Bullet can penetrate wooden homes and glass window and all those things and kill innocent people. So it's a miracle that we have to be thankful for, that the innocent persons have not been killed and the persons who appear to have been targeted who are not killed or injured. But based on what I've said to you, based on my info and my knowledge, as I have said on this program repeatedly, no done as you like. This appears to be that there will be no done as you like. So I hope that the police are very proactive. Minister Ben, call on your police to be proactive and try to deal with this matter, or else you're going to get more, because it looks to me that this is some type of tit for tat arrangement where men coming after one another. And I can tell you from my experience as a senior police officer, when they start, it ain't done until the people get taken out. Once something like that starts, it is not going to finish until people are taken out. So let me understand what is going on. Let me understand. They might tell you travel around 3,000 feet per second. No, that is not so. Don't ask me. Don't ask me. I know was the velocity of all of those firearms. That was my job. That was my job. Those 7.62 by 39 and traveling at 3,000 feet per second. No, sir, that is incorrect. Check again. Check again. And if you Google it and that's where you find it is not so. I don't want to call you out, but I can tell you, you get this one wrong. Because that is a part of the thing I have to teach. What is the muzzle velocity of a 7.62 by 51 round? What is the muzzle velocity of a 9mm pistol, depending on which weapon it is fired from? What is the muzzle velocity of a 7.62 by 39? And all of that thing, those things, I had it in my computer, my brain, there all the time, because I would sit and lecture to people about it. And to tell them, for example, these police that you have now teaching people and running around with shotgun, ask them the cone of fire, ask them what is the cone of fire of a shotgun. They don't know, but I can tell you that in my days as an instructor, especially teaching crowd control, you ought to teach and you ought to know the cone of fire, because that was critical in ensuring that you don't kill people. Because when you do crowd control, the aim is not to kill, the aim is to just disperse the crowd. So all of these things I was trained to do, and as I said, as the senior firearm instructor, I knew all of these things on the tip of my finger, my brother, tip of my finger. And even though, according to the Sidewinder, according to the Volkswagen I am now a geriatric, which indeed I am, because according to the dictionary, once you pass 55, 65, you're a geriatric, and I'm long past that. But I ain't forget some of these things. Oh, the man say correct. Well, you can hold on with that if you're correct. You can hold on. But I can tell you that when I coach shooting, when I coach rifle shooting at the international level, these are things that I got to know as a coach. How fast the bullet travels, right? When the bullet is going to reach supersonic speed and all of that. So the calculations can be made to deal with it. I want to argue with you. Well, I know what you know, you know. What you think you know, you think you know. I know that I know, because that has been my orientation and my training for years and years and years. Right? So you can perhaps tell them too, why is the cone of fire for shotguns and all of these things. But see, unless you want to say anything more about this, I'm going to take on that student who trying to test me. But we're going to move on to something else. Anything more you want to say on this?
Yeah, I just want to make the point again, because these drive-by shootings getting very alarming and frequent. And I don't know the kind of investigation the police doing. Are they canvassing? Sometimes you gotta go house to house and check with people. Some people will see and they never come forward. They're waiting for the police to come to them. And then they will talk. A lot of them might say, well, don't mention my name, but they will give you valuable information that they got to do more canvassing. I remember with Commissioner Wilson Felix when we had crimes and he said, did you canvass the area? So you need to canvass, or is that the police doesn't have confidence, the public doesn't have confidence in the police, so they people with ears who will not hear, people with eyes who will not see, people with nose who will not smell, people with tongues who will not speak. And you mentioned, I want to talk a funny story. You mentioned about the tip of your finger. I remember hearing a story. This little boy, he asked his father, "Daddy, how you could spell fish?" And the father smiled and said, "Boy, you should have asked me the last night, because last night I had the fish at the tip of my tongue."
Well, good, well said. Well said. Let me say this as we're going to move on. My brother, don't test me. Yeah, you say wrong. You say wrong, but it is far below that, yeah? It is far below that. You say that is not the thing, but it's far below that. But again, trust me on this one. This is what I did for years. And people who know me well, when I was a young corporal, a young sergeant, perhaps even as an inspector, they will tell you, nobody can challenge my knowledge when it comes to that type of thing. Nobody. None. Right? As a matter of fact, let me share this with you. You might not know this. That when I was in the ricketics, as they would say, and shooting, competition shooting, pistol in particular, right? Among joint services ranks and so on. There is not a single person in uniform in Guyana could come close to me. Check it out. I ain't bragging and boasting. I don't want to be braggadocious, but I'm giving you facts. I am giving you facts. Nobody. So for a number of years, I was there as a chief firearm instructor, and I can tell you that when I stood before class, because as a sergeant, I used to lecture to officers and the senior people. I am the one who had to go there to teach them the use of firearm and so on. And not a single soul in uniform in Guyana can test the master. Even now, I tell you, I'm challenging all of them now come people, challenging all of them. All them in uniform. You want to test me? Test me. It got so. Let me tell you all this. Let me tell you all this. The chief of staff, Major General Norman McLean, former policeman. He was also at the time the president of the Guyana National Rifle Association, of which I was a prominent member. And they had the argument in the army as to whether Slow was indeed the best pistol shooter in the country. And in order to test that, they organized a special competition at Timeri. Now, McLean was backing me. All the other people from the army was backing George Angoy, who was their top shot. And they organized a special competition at Timeri between Slow on Argyle. And I destroy, yeah. I destroyed him. I destroyed him in the competition. So now come, Paul Slow, Ransford Goodluck, and these people caused the army to change rules in respect of falling plate competitions and all of that. We were so good. So don't tell me about guns and ammunition and so on. We were outstanding. And when the GDF invited the police for the first time to take part in their annual shooting competition, falling plate, we went there and we destroyed them. We destroyed them. They changed the rules because at that time the rule was a team thing. I think they gave you 4 rounds each, 4-man team, and you were allowed to change the rounds. In other words, one competitor could have passed to another competitor during a specific time period. And we had planned this thing out. Then they changed it. They said, no, you can't pass because what you guys to do, once they shoot 1 round, 2 rounds, and then hit the plate, they used to keep it and pass it to me and good luck. And we used to destroy them. And then they change, you can't pass, you have to just shoot the rounds that you had, and we still used to destroy them. So I don't want, again, I say, I don't want to be braggadocious, but the records are there. And even in this geriatric stage, I can challenge them with pistol, uniform, even with rifle with uniform, challenge them, right? Because when you get certain skills, you don't lose it like that. When you acquire certain skills, when you reach certain levels, you don't lose it. I went to the Commonwealth Games in as a coach and manager in Gold Coast some years ago. And Canada was represented by a man, I think he was 80 or something like that. Can't remember his name now. But he had won all the competitions, all the elimination competitions in Canada and represent Canada at the Commonwealth Games. And he did well. He didn't medal, but he did well. So that used to be the thing, my brother. That used to be the thing. Now let me move on, man. Let me move on. Yes, you are wrong. It's much lower than 3,000 feet. Let me just tell you this. A 7.62 by 5.1 run goes like about 2,750 feet per second. That is what it used to be. A regular off-the-shelf ammunition. I'm not talking about unloads. Perhaps you don't know about that. We're not talking about tailored unloads and all of that. We talk about the regular off-the-shelf, whether it's dark, whether it's ornady, whether it's about 2,750. There's 7.62 by 5.1. This is 7 by 62 by 3.9, right? They call it 7.62 short. Can meet faster than the 7.62 by 5.1. And I don't want to go into it now because that thing when you're talking can't even go supersonic, right? It cannot go supersonic. Whereas the 7.62 by 5.1 can go supersonic, especially when it fires about 1,000 yards. That's enough for that for now, right? Enough of that for now. But I say I can't forget these things. And it's unfortunate because when back in the day, I used to teach the little police them type of thing, right? I used to teach the police, right? The 7.62 by 5.1 is a NATO ammunition, and the Warsaw is the Warsaw Pack was a 7.62 by 3.9, developed to fire in the AK-47 and similar weapons and so on. So yeah, my brother, well, you want to get technical to ask if 7.6, if 2,750 is not around 3,000 feet. Yeah, it's wrong. It's way below in terms of ballistics. When we're talking about ballistics, it is way below. Don't ask me these questions, my brother. Don't ask me. Because let me tell you further, when the police, the bulletproof vests that were purchased to the police around 2002, I designed them. I went to the company in Florida along with Winston Felix and designed them based on the same ballistics, 2,750 and all of that, right? Somebody asked a question whether the sergeant was carrying a bulletproof vest. Wearing a bulletproof, I don't know. But even if he had been wearing a bulletproof vest, depending on the type of firearm that was used, right? Because a soft bulletproof, the regular soft is level 3A, and level 3A can't stop certain things. Look, I don't want to go much more into it this morning. You give me the track, you make me move off the track, but I'm going to come back to that next time. If you want to hit me up, I can share some information. If you are a uniform rank, I ain't sharing this information with people who went police, right? Now, let me tell you this. You know, they tell me that I am an opium man. Me are no opium man. Me are no C4 man. I'm referring here to the teachers' strike. I am referring to the teachers' strike. I told you all from the time the government said they're going to hold talks with the Ghana Teachers Union, I said that the government is not going into that in good faith. And I do not see that coming to any fruitful solution. So yesterday when I learned that the talks had broken down, I was not surprised. First of all, let me understand this. You're negotiating government and the teachers union. And who is the senior government man? Saddam Hussein, the chief education officer, who can't make no decision on behalf of the government. So what you're talking about? You send Saddam Hussein to negotiate. The very first session they had, very first session, something came up. He had to seek leave to go and talk to his principals. The man can't negotiate on behalf of the government. You think Saddam Hussein, the chief education officer, can commit this government to any increase in salary and so on? No, he cannot. And then what happened? The very first day, when the meeting finished, the GTU said that they had agreed to this multi-year salary negotiation from 2019, 2023, and this year, 2024, and perhaps beyond. Right? That is what they say. Saddam Hussein said, no, they never had such a discussion about the 2019 to 2023. Saddam Hussein said so. He came out and said the teachers, the union people were misrepresenting what took place. And the teachers union like me, you get your record. They produced the minutes of the meeting with Saddam's signature on it, which clearly showed that they had such a discussion. At which stage he walked back and he said, so no credibility. The man went there. I saw a picture with him, looked like a beaten person, no credibility. And therefore, I am saying from the outset that the government just wanted to have the teachers to come off the streets and to say, remember, they came off the streets. The teachers were demanding that the government sit to talk to them, negotiate with them. The government was refusing to do that. Now, when Justice Kissoon ordered this interaction between them and the lawyer, the same day the president jumped out to claim victory, to say that is what we wanted them to go off the road or something like that. And they claimed it as a win, so the dishonesty was there. There was no win for the government because the government had been saying that they're not negotiating, right? So now that they got to negotiate, they were claiming victory, that all the teachers have caved in and they're now coming to talk and all of that. So you knew from the outset, because if you remember, even going further back, when the Attorney General was before the judge and they wanted this process, he was reluctant, he was hesitant. You got to go and talk to the principal. That might be so. You got to get order from instruction from your boss and things. But it was clear that they were not intent on having a proper, meaningful discussion on this issue. So let's see what is going to happen. And then I always wanted to know, because the people were saying to you, put Saddam Hussein, what happened to the PS of the ministry? What happened to the PS? So suddenly they found the PS. The PS came out, and the PS, according to the release from the government yesterday, is saying, well, we didn't budget for that type of increase. But I want to remind the PS, or somebody called me last night and told me and reminded me, because I knew that since this government came back into power in 2020, every single year they have gone back to Parliament with supplementary budget. So to say that the budget did not cater for this type of increase is being disingenuous, because you have gone back to the Parliament every year. Money for Gaisuku, billions and billions of dollars for Gaisuku, and other things. So what is wrong with going back to the Parliament for supplementary budget to take care of the needs of the teachers? What is wrong with that? But they come up with this statement, we didn't budget for that, so we can't deal with this now, and so on. So that is the whole story. And then I want to know, I asked, CC, I'm going to ask you again, what happened to the Minister of Education She absent in all of this. I have not heard a word from the Minister of Education, who likes to jump out and talk. But somehow, like the Minister of Home Affairs, cat eat the tongue. They ain't talking. They are not talking. So we understand that the union will be going back to the judge to let the judge know that the talks have broken down, and maybe they're going to now decide on the way forward. They're going to decide on the way forward. So, CC, I'm sure you would have followed that too, because, you know, you like me like to follow the news, and therefore you would have had the opportunity to see that. What are your views, my brother?
Like you know, of the view that this thing going straight to arbitration, that the government wouldn't go and negotiate in good faith. Only barely there was a court order. I remember the judges threatened um, Saddam Hussein, you know, so they would go back and negotiate, but they wouldn't put up anything there. And you already mentioned what about supplementary? I think last year they had two supplementary budget, one mid-year and one late in the year. So they wouldn't go in good faith. And but the minister, I think if I'm gonna find some words to put, you know, what the minister's done, she has raped the negotiation. She has raped the discussion between those two parties.
Yeah, my brother. Yes. So, but no, we have a lot of we had spoken. You in particular had mentioned this rank. What's his name? I think you know his name and all that. The rank who was charged with this sexual offense, this police in Bobbies, and for months and months and months, he's still on the job, and he's saying that he know things about the extended squatter, and therefore he is going to be protected by the extended squatter. Is there any development on that matter, CC?
Yes, the notice was signed, the approval from the extended squatter. But understand there's some wranglings now when really it should be dated. Whether it's June last year or whether it's now they're wrangling. But it was signed. What we know for sure is that from the day you appear in court, that is it, that is it, that is the date of interdiction. So they're wrangling and tangling, but it was signed.
Well, they're listening. They're listening. They are listening. They are listening. Right? Well, you know, it's sad. A rank is charged criminally, and the regulations and all the standing orders and all the things that the rank has to be interdicted pending the outcome of the charge. That is what should happen. And the interdiction takes effect from the date the person appears in court. So the process is a simple process, because let me walk you all through it quickly, officers who are going to be listening to this. The rank is investigated. The file is sent through the normal channel. There's a crime, so it goes to the DPP to the DPP, and then from the DPP it goes back to the crime chief. Now, once it gets back to the crime chief, if charge is recommended, then it goes to the commissioner of police to inform him that, look, the DPP has recommended that this rank be charged. The staff officer gets involved, because the staff officer is aware that the rank is to be charged, and is the staff officer, I think they call it head of staff now, whatever it is, that person is responsible for preparing the interdiction letter. So that person is brought into the loop at that early stage. The file goes back to the commander in the respective division. The rank is charged, and the prosecutor writes a short report to inform the commander that the rank appeared on such and such a date before such and such a magistrate, pleaded guilty or not guilty, whatever the case may be. And then that information is conveyed to the staff officer, who would have already had a record of this matter. And I could tell you in my day, you just pick up the telephone and you call them and say, look, reference this matter. The rank appeared in court today. Please prepare the interdiction notice. And you follow it up with a report. So the interdiction notice is prepared and sent, served on the rank, and the rank is interdicted from duty pending the outcome of the charge. But I don't understand how they don't know. But they know to dismiss people, this same extended squatter, on the 5th of July 2022, when those guys were charged, the policemen were charged in relation to the Quindon Bacchus murder. The same day he dismissed, he didn't interdict, he dismissed McLennan and those, Damian McLennan and those ranks, which is unconstitutional. He dismissed them from the same day, so there was no presumption of innocence. So how come they don't know when a rank, from what date the rank is to be interdicted? How come they don't know that? How come? So it's good to know that at least belatedly they are doing what the law requires to say that, look, the rank is interdicted. And let me understand it, is interdicted pending the outcome of the charge. It's a natural process, the rule of law. If he gets off, he should be reinstated. Reinstated if he gets off. If he is convicted, then he is dismissed. So let me understand how the system works. He's convicted, he ought not to be in the force. Even though you get a triple jumper who was convicted for contempt, is still in the jail. But once you're convicted, you should be made to go. So let's understand. CC, your closing remarks. We did almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
Your closing remarks.
All I'm saying, I'm happy that in some cases that they are listening. They are listening, and we'll continue to speak out, and we'll continue to make recommendations to them.
Yes, and we will continue to bring this thing to their attention. Folks, I think that we have exhausted the time today. Person had asked for us to go for 2 hours because you know that we had a lot of stuff to talk about. We still got a lot more to talk about, and we will do so next week. But as I have been saying over and over, between a day or two, so many things come up that we have to speak about. We have to bring to attention, and that is what takes up the time. But we're not going to deprive you of the opportunity to hear what is going on. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. And again, I must close by saying the numbers today were simply outstanding. The live students in class, the ones that were in class before, we reached some record numbers today. Thank you very much. The only record we didn't reach is the thumbs up record. We haven't reached the thumbs up record. But you're going to get to that in due time. You haven't reached the thumbs up record. So let me say this to you. And I know you're going to be disappointed. The next program, God's Spare Life, will be next Wednesday. I have a lot of engagements between now and Wednesday, so we're not going to have a program on Monday. So the next program will be on Wednesday. But I can promise you that. I promise you this. We will try to make up next week. We will try to make it up to you next week. So God's willing, next Wednesday at 11 o'clock, we're going to meet here again for another episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption, Incompetence. Until then, stay well. Bye.